Now, in this video, I'm going to try to talk about the shift. Now, I talked about the shift in many other videos, but I'm inspired to talk about it again because I follow another content creator who's a very brilliant, successful, I was about to say girl, young lady, woman, that I met a few times, but I had no idea how badass she was. She's very popular. She has a huge following, and she's very successful. She was on the same platform that I am on for work, and we both got singled out for stuff. And she was someone I met, but I started to follow randomly, and I was just blown away by some of her content and the things that she's doing. Buying property. She's doing a lot of stuff. She's really, really a badass, and she talked about the shift. And it's just like, wow, it hit me. A lot of people who are catching the same downloads they're on the same wavelength. So I'm going to piggyback what she talked about with my own spin. So I'm going to talk about the shift. There's a shift in society where people are waking up, people are doing better, people are being better, people are, wanting to be better people, do better things, be better versions of themselves. And you're seeing the other spectrum of the shift. People are getting more materialistic, dumbed down, more lost in the matrix. So you're seeing people more racist. You're seeing people split off. And if you're not careful, you're going to live in this illusion that people are getting worse, people are getting more evil, people are getting more racist, people are getting more low vibe, low frequency. That's not true. That's just the reality that you surround yourself with. That's what you might be attracting. But there's a shift in which, in this same timeline, there's many people who are waking up, getting stronger, getting powerful, being better people. So I'm going to talk about all that and more. And racism, since it's the allotted Black History Month, might as well do that in honor of Black History Month. So the shift. When I talked about the shift in other videos, it was the reality that people are moving in different directions, and the pandemic was a major event in our history that was an opportunity for many people to wake up, many people to reevaluate things. Many people were realizing that the media doesn't tell you the truth, and people were being sheep all their lives. People were waking up, and during that same time where people are scratching their head like, wait a minute, what do I really believe to be true? What is real? What is what they're telling me? Is it truth? Is it lies? People were waking up. During that same time, about 3 years ago, people were believing every word Dr. Fauci and the powers that be said, even though the writing on the walls was that they were lying for an agenda. People to this day are still stuck. They're gone, and they're not coming back. There's a shift. Now, this content creator that I was talking about how people are getting smarter. People are getting, more spiritually adept. People are waking up and moving into considering circular economies rather than linear economies. What that means is linear economies is the old way of doing things, which is depleting the earth's resources for profit, for money, pumping gas, doing things, mining for coal. This is linear economies, where this is things in the past. This is the way we used to work. This is the way we used to do things, depleting the earth of its resources. We're moving into people buying farms, living off the land, living off the grid, bartering, planting and recycling, and doing things that are much more efficient and less devastating to the planet, to the earth. So there's a lot of that. So now on the internet, you'll see two different algorithms for people out there, different types of people. You'll see multiple algorithms for different people based on your vibration, based on what you're attracting, based on what you're clicking on, what you respond to, what engages you. You have people who, well, my experience is very positive. I'm seeing a lot of positive light workers I get a lot of musicians because I am a musician, and I'm seeing a lot of drummers. I like listening to music. And since I joined TikTok and started doing music on TikTok, I'm in that algorithm of seeing other musicians, and I enjoy that. But I'm also seeing light. I'm seeing a lot of light workers, light people of the light talking about things, people just trying to spread positive messages to humanity. I'm seeing a lot of, not to call out race, a lot of white people fighting racism, and not from a democratic liberal place. I don't know what their affiliation is, but it's just pure goodness and humanity. And I really appreciate it. That's very refreshing to see. But on the other side of things, you're going to see the filth. You're going to see the racism. You're going to see the low frequency beings having a field day out there. On one hand, we have people are going vegan or eating better, exercising, just being conscious of how they can eat better, more healthy, more efficient. You have people on the other side of social media eating all sorts of exotic animals, some of whom are on the endangered species lists, eating, octopus, snail, all these weird foods. A lot of Asian content is a bit arguing, not to call them out, but there's a lot of people who are doing dumb things, a lot of people who are coming up with stupid businesses, exploiting things, exploiting people, tapping into the Earth's resources. You have people who are doing amazing things, amazing business plans and ideas, and you just have the opposite, quantum realities in the same timeline. Here's a look at some videos that are on your lower frequency content.
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off. And I feel better now.
You want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
When I get on an airplane, I want my pilot to be like, "Hi, this is Chad." Maybe like a little bit of a Southern accent.
Chad Buckworth here.
No, Chad. This is my 31,000th hour. I'm kind of bored, honestly.
Yeah, I could do this in my sleep.
But exactly. I want just like cookie cutter, like pilot. Yeah, this is so easy to me. I don't want LaQuisha James.
They have that like pilot voice,
and she's just like, "Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Pray for me."
And the truth is this is a creation that the left wanted.
Climate activists are speaking out against a startup that is shipping ice from Greenland glaciers all the way to Dubai in the UAE. Using this kind of ice is ordinary in Greenland, but the ice harvesting company Arctic Ice is looking to take the regional tradition and turn it into a novel luxury thousands of miles away in the desert. Cocktail bars in the UAE want the ice for their wealthy patrons because the company says it froze over 100,000 years ago, meaning the water was never contaminated by human-caused pollution. The ice is considered to be more pure than mineral water commonly used in Dubai, and the thousands of years of freezing and compression cause the ice to melt slower than normal, something people in the incredibly hot desert are looking for.
Yeah, there's a shift in which people are living better, doing better. And this content creator was talking about people becoming more of TikTok shoppers, buying dumb things that are only going to end up in the landfill, things that you don't need. Materialism is on the rise, low frequency music. You saw a shift in consciousness. You see examples of it. For example, Andre 3000 released a flute album, and there was a split. People who knew him and loved him for his hip-hop that just couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that he's doing something different right now. But what they didn't realize, because they live in a completely different reality, there's a whole wave of people, of new fans, that understood what he was doing. It was high frequency healing music, and he just won an award. He won an accolade because he opened himself up to a new audience, a new demographic of people who are waking up and want healing. They want healing. And people who are stuck in the matrix, and these people are going to out themselves to you if you pay attention. It's your call if you want to keep following them. Everything's out. Everything's coming out. People are revealing themselves. So people are having different experiences in the same timeline. And man, that car is not stopping. But I'm going to keep going. So racism is seemingly on the rise, but it's not. It's an illusion. You're seeing a lot of people become more overtly racist because the Matrix wants racism. The Matrix feeds off racism. But it's an illusion. It's an illusion. If you were to look at only the popular people, and popularity, I keep saying, it is an illusion. It doesn't mean anything in 2024 and beyond. It's not what you think it is. You know, how many followers do you have? Nobody cares. It's a thing of the past. And the powers that be don't care about popular people anymore because most of them, not all of them, most of them are compromised. And that's the way they want it. That's why they have the platforms that they have. You notice most of your popular people have a leaning, either left or right. A lot of these platforms are, they come from political camps that are either blue, Democrat, liberal, or red, conservative, Republican. And the ones that you think are not, maybe not political, but they're compromised in different ways. And they're compromised to do covert agendas that you don't know about. And I'm telling you, a lot of people are following people, love them, and you don't know they got paid off by intelligence agencies, by corporate entities to do something to cause disruption. They do good work. They do what you perceive to be good work because they wouldn't be followed by anybody if they didn't do things that people would like. But people on a lower frequency just can't see the areas in which they're compromised, causing disruption, causing division, causing confusion, and people just blindly follow anyway. People are very easily manipulated, and they hate the people trying to tell them the truth. It's the Matrix. So in this shift, this is why it's very important to detach yourself from political parties, groups, religious groups. And I'm not saying religion and spirituality is a negative thing. Spirituality is a beautiful thing. But you see a lot of people who become problematic are your spiritual people. Like you're a Christian, and I'm not saying this as an indictment to spiritual people or religious people. And I was raised in a Christian family, and I was surrounded by a very loving church family of good people, surrounded by love. I'm not indicting them at all. I'm just talking about in general. Spiritual people, Christian people, religious people, what they tend to do is be a part of the problem. And they don't realize it. And there's a girl, another content creator, Nali by nature. I love that girl. And she ripped into the spiritual communities. You know, you would think that they would be leading the charge on some of the world's problems. It's not even about them. They're irrelevant. It was never about them. And she broke it down. Why? A lot of these gurus and spiritual teachers, they go to the black and brown countries and steal all the information, the wisdom, the ancient knowledge of these people, whether they're still in practice of it or not. They know why they want that information. And then they come to the West, set up their schools and their retreats, and they teach everyone. But it was never about them. It's not from them. And they teach it to people raw. And they teach you from this love and light. You know, they never get involved in anything. They never disturb anything. They never disrupt the matrix in any way, shape, or form. They teach you to just whatever disturbs you, whatever bothers you, release it, get away. And you live your entire life, you know, not being challenged by anything, not trying to deal with relationships that are problematic to you or triggering to you to teach you something, you got to run. This is what these people teach you because it's not about them. They're not the teachers. They're not the real teachers. That's general. I don't mean to generalize all spiritual teachers and gurus, but a lot of them, a lot of the popular ones, they're not it. It's not about them. They never were. It was never about them, and they're not the right teachers. And this time is going to show you that people are here on mission, and these teachers and these church groups and these spiritual leaders and these gurus pull you off your life mission. Why you even came here, and they tell you parts of the truth, which is, some of what they say, yes, is true. But these religious and spiritual entities keep you asleep. That's their job. That's their real job, especially if they're popular, to make you feel good, give you ear candy, make you feel good about yourself, make you, empower you in your, spiritual narcissism. And then you forget the mission. You forget about the collective, the suffering that's going on here, why you came down to this dimension, to fight, to change, to add to the ripple effect of change and evolution and ascension. They pull you out of the game. This is why, a lot of spiritual people, it ain't about them. And this is why I keep saying, be careful of the popular person or the popular ideology. It's time to break that, because we live in a realm of deception. We live in an era of good intentions that are misled, And political teams, why is it good to get away from affiliations and teams and parties, political parties? Okay, all of them. It's easy to see that the blue team has gone out of its mind. And a lot of people started to wake up. Die-hard liberal Democrats are starting to wake up and realize that, the party is really bad, really evil, and they do a lot of things. They exploit black people while, giving black people an illusion of inclusion and putting them in positions and, but really working for LGBT, immigrants, feminism, everything else but black people. And I think we're in a time where black people are waking up and they're seeing that the real evil in their agendas. They are making people believe, because people don't really understand the relationship with government and things like the history of Planned Parenthood and what its agendas are. And they're making women believe that reckless, careless sex, and as a result, murdering babies is a woman's rights issue. That's how sick the left has become and is, and how diabolic, how they socially engineer what's wrong to appear right. And we're having a cultural revolution where people are waking up and saying, wait a minute, why do I back this? Why am I fighting this? Is this really a woman's right issue? A right to kill babies that I can see? And it's like, I'm not getting too much into the preachiness of it. I'm not coming from a religious stance, to push some kind of ideology, but just to make people think about, what are they really fighting? They make you feel that this is a women's rights issue when it's not. What you do, I'm still pro-choice. Because I am not here to tell anybody what to do. But is that really a woman's rights issue? This is what the left does. They're pushing gender confusion. They're trying to normalize it and make it something that's good. They are gun control. People who know history know that every authoritarian regime takes the guns somehow and figures out ways to trick the people to take the guns. Why do you think this country has so many mass shootings? Is there nothing suspicious about that? Oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist. But anyway, what happened during COVID, when they were locking up the place and making people stay home, and they had boots on the grounds doing that in some places in the world, you saw a glimpse of what they wanted, that they didn't achieve, they didn't get away with it, but you saw a glimpse of what happens, and when you remove all the guns and you do every liberal thing that they convince you to do, walk around making sure you wear masks or you get arrested, So people woke up and are starting to wake up out of the blue team and reevaluate everything. But don't be deluded to think that Team Red is good, and this is what makes some of my people upset, because they love Trump, and they it's like you see them selling the sneakers. Yeah, people are in their cults, and they don't want to wake up, and they're so emotionally chained and enslaved by their emotions, and it's sad. The left has its bad stuff. Both parties are bad. It's just we're living in the time in which the blue team has become. It was always a decision between the lesser of two evils, and people say that like that's a normal thing. Oh, which bad person am I going to choose? That's insanity. But the lesser of two evils has always been the blue team, like in the 90s. But now that's no longer the case. The lesser of two evils is now the red team. The red team is far out front now, being right on social issues. That's it. Right on most of them. They were right about, what the government was doing with these, and they were right about, the gender confusion, standing up to it, the insanity. They were right about the migrants. They're right about everything. They're right about, what the bleeding heart liberal doesn't understand is that, there's such a thing as national security and, decorum when you have a country. And no first world country in their right mind has an open border in which people who are undocumented can flood into the country. You don't know what diseases these people have. You don't know what crimes they committed in their countries of origin. And to have these people undocumented, you don't know who they are, you don't know what disease they have, you don't know what crimes they commit. Not to say that they're all criminals, diseased criminals, but when you're a sane, logical person, you understand, yes, some of them are. And to have a back door open where they just flood into the country, unskilled, don't speak the language, and don't have any resources, so they're going to be they're going to be a liability, obviously. And to just have an endless flow of them come in, liberals don't think. They don't think. Like, it's not about being xenophobic or racist or bigoted. Sometimes common sense is needed. It's necessary. And this is why when you're unattached to a party controlling your mind, you're able to be even keel, unbiased, and just think logically in each individual situation without being influenced by your party or your base. And you could just look at every single issue, whether we're talking about guns, whether we're talking about abortion, whether we're talking about race issues, regardless of what we're talking about, when you're detached from the matrix and detached from these political parties controlling your mind, you're free. That's why when I say things, or when people say things, you see their brainwashing when they react to you, because they don't know how to respond to you. What are you, what is he, a Trump supporter? No, I'm not anything. I'm not sick like you. I don't have a leaning. I'm not a part of anything. Don't put Trump on me like, you know what, let me go home and shut my door. They're humans. So yeah, let me give you an example of what the red team is doing. They're trying to normalize racism again and bring us back to a pre-1960s era. And they're trying to do it strategically. They're trying to do it, and it's not an indictment on everyone who's in the party. You got to understand, and just the same way I'm not saying anything negative about people who identify as being liberal Democrats. The people who run these parties, they have an agenda, and part of that agenda is to trick you into thinking that what they're doing is rational, sane, and right. And so the red team is full of well-intentioned, a lot of them Christian, a lot of them, hardworking, tax-paying people who may or may understand or not understand that their party is up to very dastardly evil things. And one of those things is to kind of bring back racism in an overt, sanitized way. Let's talk about Mr. Charlie Kirk. And what he said was so dumb. You got to really be stupid to listen to these people. And Matt Walsh, when they speak, anytime he separates his mustache from his beard to speak about race, there's a stench of demonic film all over. Like he can't speak the truth when it comes to race issues. They can't. They don't have it in them. And what they said about the DEI was deceptive. It was dishonest. It was deceptive. It was lies. But that's their shtick. They speak correct when it comes to social issues. This is what all the popular grifters do when you wake up out of the matrix. You understand that what builds their popularity is the truth that they speak. But with the truth that they speak on social issues, Candace Owens, all these people, there's an agenda that they try to weave in to their talking points. And if you're a lower frequency person and not aware, you're just going to vibrate with it and just start to adopt what they say. Just don't do that. If you really want to wake up, you can do what you want. But if you really want to wake up and live to a higher standard and go with the shift, the higher tier of the shift, you got to avoid these grifters. The DEI, what they said about the United. Okay. To understand why organizations like the DEI exist is because, there were many instances in which there were lawsuits and corporate entities lost. They don't want to keep having that happen. And pre-affirmative action, when you have an integrated society, you can't even call it just racism, because that simplifies things. And I know a lot of people might not like that I said that. But, people hire their own, people who they went to school with, people who look like them. It is what it is. But when you have an integrated society, when you're forced integration, you have to have something that ensures equity and fairness. And there were many instances in which, sometimes, not to say all black people are qualified, because I'm not saying that either, but some were and denied jobs. And there were instances in which there's lots of cases, I can do a video just on that, in which corporate entities lost because discrimination was evident, clear. I'll give you an example, a fictitious example. Let's just say there's 3 black graduates of an Ivy League school that all graduated, each graduated with a 3.9, applied for the same job, all 3 got denied. But the person that got hired was a white guy who had a 3.4. There were many instances of that, and people were able to file lawsuits and win because couldn't deny it. But what happened there? Well, you see, you can explain one, you can't explain a lot of these things, and that's what happened. That's what happened. So, through time, in order to protect themselves and to ensure some equity, it serves society, both people of color, I hate to say that term, and the corporate entities that don't want to be sued, when there's a problem, they can always show, hey, well, we have this program, we have this that ensures this, so they can't get sued. This is why these things exist. And there were many instances in which that happened. So the DEI, working with some of these corporate entities like United Airlines, implement these things. But you see, they don't want to tell you about the history of why these things exist. They just want you to think that people are just doing things for black people. Hey, you want to fly a plane? Get on in there. And that's how dumb you got to be to believe Charlie Kirk and listen to these Matt Walt. Listen, I listen to these people. So I even shared something. I share Candace Owens when they're speaking the truth. A lot of times they speak the truth. But when they're speaking about nonsense and their race grifting, I call that out too. It's lies. For example, they try to simplify your mind and dumb you down. When you graduate from an institution, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a bus driver, or you work on planes, you have to graduate. To be a pilot, you have to complete certain certifications. You have to complete certain flight hours. You have to know how to fly the damn plane, or they wouldn't give you a degree. They won't give you your certifications. They won't clear you. And this is what they don't want you to use your own common sense and know that. Instead, Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh, if I see a black person, oh, I don't know if I'm in danger. You moron. Do you think United Airlines wants people to die? They're not going to put someone that can't fly the plane. Ensuring diversity, this is what their bosses and the people that own their platforms want to push out in society, because the demonic people want you to think like them. So they trick you into doing it, because you won't do it normally. If they really explain to you everything, a rational, a well-intended person would be like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. They don't want you to think on you, and that's why they have to lie to you constantly and feed you this nonsense. The person who graduated from flight school, what is the difference between the guy who graduated ranking first or 11th? I'm pretty sure all of them can fly a plane, and it's not to say, that the black pilots are always got to be last. That's the racism, to always assume that the black can't or is less qualified. It's a separate issue. Ensuring equity is not about, the black person's always not qualified. This is what they try to pass off as rational. Charlie Kirk is like, well, I don't think that way, but I have to think that way. No, that's how he thinks. He's repulsive, and this is what they try to do. They try to pass it off as not racist when it is. But if I see a black person now, I have to worry. So stupid. It's not funny, but they are ridiculous. They are absolutely ridiculous. But this is the part of the shift where these people are not vibrating up. Anyway, along with the shift is the revolution of the divine feminine. That's on the way in, and I'm very excited for that, because we're living in a very misguided society, and women have been misled, misguided by the social movements of the day, and corrupted. And you can see there's a huge manosphere. There's a huge manosphere of platforms, and you can see that a lot of men have become absolutely sick and tired of women. And you see a lot of women who've become sick and tired of women. And there's a reason for that. Women have gone through a lot. Women, thanks to the Rockefellers, we live in a society where they're forced to compete, bite, scratch, to survive and support themselves just as much as men, and sometimes with children, while fending off your F-boys and people trying to use them. And women have a rough place in society, and they have had to struggle. And because we live in an abnormal society, we're not living in the way we should be living. That is natural to our spirit. And women have been forced into adopting that masculine energy. And so you have a bad combination of masculine energy with feminine energy, which means like emotional masculinity, which is not good. So women, and I'm going to choose my words wise. Because of, all these things that women have gone through in this abnormal environment, you have men who no longer know how to show up for women. And, men have been failing in that category for a long time. And you have women who have been failing miserably in this time, because we can see it, and the facts and the receipts are piling in, and women are now being called to step up. You have a lot of damaged, toxic women who have become damaged, women who will become jaded, women that become, lesser than the model that their potential as women can be. There's a lot of women who are checking themselves. I see that, and it's such a refreshing, beautiful thing to see, because for a long time, women have not been in their divine nature, not able to listen to men, not able to just listen and hear and understand. A lot of women have just been quick to not hear, just defend, to lecture to men, and don't know how to receive men, listen to men, submit to men, understand the male perspective. There's just this, narcissism and defense and deflection. And, when women are not stepping into their higher nature, it's just a domino effect, bad things. But that's on the turnaround. There's a lot of women calling other women out, calling themselves out, like this ain't it. And so you're seeing that resurgence of the divine feminine, which is a beautiful thing to behold. I've been the recipient of toxic femininity. I've been, not, the divine masculine man that I could be in many instances, but, I'm on that journey, that path of getting there, and to see other people doing that, it's amazing. It's really refreshing. There's a lot of people in my life personally that have done that, people who have reached out and just, some, connections lost, some gained, some restored, it's just a part of the journey. And women are going to step forward. Divine feminine women are going to come forward and regain society and take control and really shape society for the future after we purge these things. A lot of women, you can't tell them anything. They don't know how to relate to men, listen without talking, without being defensive, without spinning things around, taking accountability. That's been a big problem, And trust me, I see a lot, where you don't have to defend sometimes to just listen and understand. And, men being assertive, men defending themselves, they're not used to it. It's like, so women are going to come back to being feminine and understanding, how to really propel society forward. Because when women are not corrupted, and women regain their divine feminine nature back, that's when men are going to chase and serve that energy, because that's what a lot of us men are here to do: protect women, to serve women. We live our lives in honor of women that we believe in. But when there's women who are corrupted, selfish, narcissistic, like men, in that they don't listen, they can't hear, they got to lecture, we've forgotten how to relate to one another, and for men to really honor, respect, love, and protect women, and for women to love, honor, and respect men and their masculine traits, and to understand without needing to lecture and defend and, so to work in progress. But the divine feminine is going to be on the rise. You can see it. There's a lot of women content creators who are speaking to women with not that coddling. We had a lot of the modern feminist nonsense and the coddling and the women. And now you have a society that is out of control. Brick Girl showed us that people will just believe women and fall down to the word of any women. That's why you have a lot of women liars. I've defended people against this. People still probably don't believe me because they're not willing to accept, common sense, logic, reason, facts, evidence. But Brick Girl showed us it don't matter. I can be a lying grifter and just say this happened. Everyone's going to fall down. Oh, believe women. She said it. Now she's a felon. But we're going to shed all that. We're getting all these examples to show us, reflect. Society is going to be reflected back to us. And we're going to purge all this, the corruption of the feminine. And when women recapture the divine feminine nature, essence, they, women shape society, and, a guy who thinks he's going to get a girl, if girls are low vibrational, materialistic, then you're going to have men, buying big gas guzzling cars and Porsches and showing off. But if women are of a different nature, men are going to step up to that. So when women, go through this purification and recapture the divine feminine essence, they're going to pull everybody with them. The men are going to be like, wow, how can I, I want a woman in my life. I want to serve. I want to protect. When the women are low, narcissistic, or materialistic, or corrupted and lost, men are going to either be bitter and not respect women and not like women and not treat them well because they don't like women, or, they're going to just take advantage, or they're going to go down to a woman who's down and not in her true essence, But when women are rising to their divine feminine nature, which is happening, you see it all over. Men and women, society is waking up, and it's just which part of the shift are you here? You have people, being overtly racist, and people who are waking up out of racism. Like, there's this guy I followed, was shocked. Yeah, with his razor fist, I liked him because he has some content that I like. He defended Michael Jackson very well, and and then he tweeted something out of the blue, like, if blacks want representation, then they shouldn't have canceled cops. And I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? The interesting thing about his little tweet, it exposes a lot. I'm telling you, we're in the age of, Aquarius, where things are being displayed and revealed, and what Razorfist just displayed of himself is how the matrix, the lower nature, your lower frequencies, things that they use, the matrix, like hatred, racism, it makes you stupider, it makes you dumber, and it makes you focus your energy on the people who are not your real enemy, the people who are not oppressing you. And you serve the matrix as a useful idiot, because you cannot, rise up against the tools of the matrix. And one of the most powerful tools of the matrix is racism. Is what Razorfists either forgot. Well, I don't know what it's doing at, so I don't really care at this point. But here's the long-haired guy on social media forgot or didn't understand, or didn't realize that he's exposed his ignorance, in that the real fight that he could have made about that show, he's just too fond of to be in his higher mind to articulate that. Interesting thing about cops that he did not articulate or did not think of is that these shows like Cops do exploit humanity. Renowned author and activist who is now deceased, the late, great William Cooper, the author of Behold the Pale Horse. He broke it all down. We have heroes that came and went, and unfortunately the Matrix snuffed them out, but he explained why we always seem to have court TV, cop shows. There's always cops and there's certain shows that serve agendas. There's always going to be an SNL. There's always going to be like LA Law. There's always going to be these cop shows. There's always going to be a show like Cops. It's there for a reason. And these shows do exploit us, because there's instances in which police do serve and protect, and they do a great job of doing that. I'm not saying that, there are cops out there who are not serving and protecting. But what these big corporate shows do is they cherry pick all the instances, real life instances, in which cops appear to be heroes, and they weed out all of the things that would make you realize that sometimes They're doing things like antagonizing citizens, violating constitutional rights, and doing things, issuing ticket citations and things to get revenue for the city or for the state. And they're not doing serving integrity. So they weed out all that stuff. And as William Cooper, masterfully articulated, these shows are part of your brainwashing. It's always worship, keep you licking boots and worshiping the system. And, when you watch some of these cop shows, and I do online a lot, some of them are funny, but the design is to show you all these poor, uneducated, unfortunately, a lot of them minorities, in their worst light, and cops in their best light. And that is what is by design. But when you add the racial element to it, you have people like Razorfist not seeing that, and instead, just going under the issue, staying beneath the issue, not able to talk on a higher level, just going for the races, bring back cops, not realizing what that show actually is. And it is to worship, it is to keep us in adherence to authority, worshiping the state, and not standing up for our rights and the rights of the common man. But, he went cheap, went for the racism, did not know about, to my knowledge, I don't know if it does not, William Cooper, and is explaining why they have cop shows. He just went for the cheap racial, I don't know if you call it a joke, I don't know what that was, attack, bring back cops. This is an example of how the Matrix keeps us trapped. Traps you by many different things. Racism, it'll get you and keep you down there. This is more evidence of the times that we're in, and it's more evidence of a shift. And what Razorfist is doing is just kind of publicly time-stamping his low-frequency depravity. And hey, if you have a message for the world, and you want to get up one morning and, be overtly racist, it's just totally on you. It's your life to live. Live each day like it's last. If you want to get one more lick to the most marginalized, oppressed, enslaved people, descendants of the enslaved people, you want to just get them one more time. That's what you want to do with your existence. So more power to you. I mean, I don't care. But it's just more evidence of a shift that you see. People are in different spectrums of this, different sides of this shift. So you have people who are feeling empowered and liberated by being more overtly crude and, insensitive and racist. But, just as much as you see that, you're seeing the opposite. People are on a different side of this shift. And it is a very beautiful thing to behold. Because on TikTok, and I'm glad somebody put me on TikTok, because I'm seeing all these beautiful people from all over the world just posting these things, and all races, a lot of white people. There's a country person talking about the contributions of Black country artists, and just taking the time just to show that, just to spread light. And, some people who are healed or wanting get out of this muck of racism, and they're just beautiful souls all over the place that I'm exposed to, because that's what I attract, because that's where my mind and my heart is. And then you have these people still a part of this old world that is dying, trying to be racist. That's why I like the Hodge twins too. So it's just sad what happened to them. They were good guys, They didn't really have brains. They didn't have a shtick. You see them through the years doing all different types of things. I remember one time they were vegan for a month or a couple of months to try to be vegan bodybuilders to see if it was possible. Didn't last. I'm not surprised. But then they found a niche. They finally became, Patriot boys, conservative twins. And what comes with it, because I keep saying, when you want popularity, you're going to be compromised. It's okay that they're conservative. But you notice their content has just gotten more racist and unnecessary, vulgar, and mean. It's because the people who platform them are putting them up to it, and they're losing their soul to it. Now I can't even look at their faces because they're sold out too hard. It's sad. You know, when you want fame and popularity, you know, you can get it, but at what cost? You know, you have to live with integrity, and you have to know your boundaries, things you will and won't do. Otherwise, you can go grab the money, you know, but it's going to compromise you in many ways that it's not going to stand the test of time. You want to be proud of yourself and your decisions and leave a legacy that you can stand on, even if it costs you your life. Like, no one will not respect you. I just watched the Bob Marley movie, and I remember, you know, it's another reminder of the greatest men in the world, you know, never forgot their people. Bob Marley, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like, you know, Hodge twins. Yeah. I'm boring. It's sad to just see, you know, at first they weren't so bad. You can see that they were testing the waters with what they can get away with. And so they didn't just come out over the top in your face. They were just saying just a few slick comments here and there, testing the water. They don't even know if their audience would turn on them. You see, that's what frequency is. Like, you know, when the times are changing and the world is growing, there's going to be a time when certain things are just no longer acceptable and certain things are going to be outvoted because the people are not on that low frequency vibration anymore. So they have to test you. They're trying to push the agenda. They're trying to push low frequency racism. It's not they are not the ones trying to do it. The people that platform them are. So let's test them out. Let's just say a little bit here. Let's say a little thing. Let's try out a little racist content. And then when it seemingly started to go without, you know, bite back, they just started to get worse and worse and worse. And it's really embarrassing. It's, you know, when you know the nation's history and the descendants of the most oppressed people, when you see different versions of them, you see the warriors, and then you see the weak, spineless, brainless, you know, opportunists without integrity. And this is all that is. It's really sad to see, you know, people who appear to be a couple of good guys just devolve into just this weak, spineless, it's a shameful, embarrassing sight. I can't even listen to their content anymore because you never know what they're going to say. You know, these Negroes, and just to see melanated people do that, it's just a shame. It's just a weakness, self-loathing, weakness, tap dancing and pandering that I just can't. So real men can't watch. You know, people of integrity and honor and self-respect. And it doesn't matter if it's my community or someone else's. I just can't stand to see that lack of integrity and spinelessness. It's not entertaining to me, and I don't really look for that kind of content to inform me about anything. You do you. The greatest men in the world have integrity, and they're beacons of light that stand the test of time, and they never sold out, never compromised themselves. And that's just, you know, a beautiful model to follow and to be like, aspire to be like. So rather than keep going with all the lip service, I'll close there. You know, the shift, there's a shift, and, you know, there's just this wave of people wanting to be better, wanting to do better. And it's, you know, it's a good thing to be a part of that wave of people going up and not the people going down and staying in the muck of the old world things that are collapsing. You know, raise your vibration and raise your frequency. That's all for now, folks. See you in the next one. Be well.